This is called A Hitchhiker's Guide Through Family Court, Part 1, Pre-Court Ejaculation. Now, you have to go bear with me, right? Because the way my mind works is it's relentless, yeah? 1,000 thoughts a second, constantly cycling through my mind. What needs to be done, where it needs to be done, how it needs to be done, how it's going to get done. And I have to prioritize all this stuff, and I get it wrong sometimes, yeah? But this book began as one of those racing thoughts, one of those racing ideas, something I felt I needed to create, not just for me, but for others to navigate in the chaos of family court. And I wanted to write something impactful, something worth reading, and something that could help at the same time. And this is where this has come through. So family court is an enigma, yeah? On the surface, it seems like, well, it should be straightforward. Laws are written, precedents are set, and justice sought. But anyone who's been through it knows the truth. It's anything but simple. Family court reaches far beyond the written law. It dives deep into the human emotion, psychology, and fragile threads that bind relationships. While I'd never claim to simplify the experience, I believe that with the right mindset and preparation, one can navigate even through the stormiest of waters. Now, when you're in the eye of the storm, especially as a man, it can feel like the entire system is against you. And in some ways, it is. If you find yourself on the wrong side of the fence, every mistake, every misstep, everything is amplified. The climb back to fairness and clarity is steep and unforgiving. My aim with this book or with this audio file, whatever it's going to be, is not just to help those who find themselves in this storm, but to also educate those who have never experienced it. Those who live in a world where family court is an abstract concept that not a harsh reality. Yet I must acknowledge this, that when family law works as intended, it's a vital tool. It protects children from harm, safeguards vulnerable parents, and provides structure where chaos threatens to overwhelm. When applied for the right reasons, family law is a necessity, and it works, and it's an effective mechanism. However, it is also alarmingly easy to manipulate. Psychological warfare has become an art form in these cases, and professionals often struggle to untangle the webs of deceit and half-truths. This manipulation isn't just harmful, it's corrosive, eroding the trust and fairness the system was designed to uphold. Over the past 12, 13 years, I've worked on over 10,000 cases, and I've benchmarked everything on what I've learned against my own journey, because that's where my understanding began. My story is the foundation of my perspective, and through the years of observation and study, both personal and professional, I come to see the gaps between the law as written and the law as applied. Since the 1989 Act, the Children Act has set the clear framework, but its implementation often feels anything but clear. The reasons for this are complex, tied up in human behaviour, societal shifts, and the ever-changing nature of relationships. This book isn't just a guide, it's a partnership. When I call it a hitchhiker's guide through family court, I mean I'm your hitchhiker, I'm your guide through this unpredictable, challenging journey. Some will criticise my words and diminish their value or claim they lack relevance. That's fine. I'm cool with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. I've learned that over other people's opinions don't diminish my truth. One of the greatest lessons I've gained, ironically, from my ex-wife is that you don't need to fall out with just someone just because you disagree. Anger, bitterness, and blame serve no one. They certainly don't serve me anymore. In my own case, my separation and divorce were no different from countless others, perhaps worse than many, yet those experiences gave me a unique perspective and the drive to help others achieve better outcomes in their cases. I've seen how listening, learning, and preparation can expedite this process and lead to a far better result. I've been there, I've made the mistakes, so you don't have to. This book or video, whatever it's going to be, is my way of walking alongside you as you navigate this path. It's not here to give you false hope or make empty promises. Instead, I'm here to offer hard-earned wisdom, practical guidance, and a perspective shaped by experience. If you're willing to walk this road with me, I'll do my best to help you reach the other side. Not unscathed, that's impossible, but stronger, wiser, and ready for what comes next. Life can be relentless. There I was, pressing the red button on a path of self-destruction, but that, in some strange way, I'll always be grateful. It taught me that any easy path I could ever take, it would never happen. The reason I do what I do now is because it's simple. It's to stop others from walking that same road, to keep them from feeling so broken, so lost, that they contemplate ending everything, all because of what the family court throws at them. It doesn't matter who you are or how strong you think you are. When you're children, your very purpose suddenly reach, the world crumbles. You spent your lifetime working home, being with your kids, your partners. Sure, the relationship wasn't perfect, but it was yours. It was your normal. We're all products of our environments, shaped by how we were raised and what we grew to accept as normal. And here's the truth, this is the truth. There is no single normal. What matters is that people are safe and cared for. Beyond that, judgment has no place. Normal is as individual as the people living it. I try to remember this when I'm working with others. Anger can make people cruel. I've seen frustration morph into personal attacks, sometimes veering into matters of religion or culture. But it's just embarrassing, really, when that happens. But I remind myself not to judge. I don't have the right. And when I was younger, I judged. Who was I to judge? That's part of why I got judged in return. Dropping out of school to care for my siblings was a turning point. My mother had vanished after the breakdown, and foster care loomed for my younger brothers. I had to step up, working nights, scraping by until then. Until we had the family hand-me-downs. Until then we had the family hand-me-downs. That's what it was. Barely holding on to anything. I was the one holding it all together. Sure, I turned our house into a bit of a party zone. Ecstasy, speed, cannabis, it was all there. But that come with the 90s, didn't it? That was part of what it was. But at least my brothers were fed, watered, and smiling. Well, for a while anyway. Looking back on it, those experiences taught me something. People are deeply superficial and incredibly judgmental. I learned this the hard way, through labels slapped on me because of how I dressed or how I did my hair. But I also learned to let go of all those labels. They don't define you unless you let them. That's it. Not that much. And I don't have many nice clothes. I mean, I've got nice clothes, don't get me wrong. But thanks to my wonderful ex-wife, that's where the way the world is. But thanks to myself as well, because I do basically love me. I wear where we're supposed to be. And everything is as everything should be. And it always is. Because that's how it's meant to be. If there's any other way, it would be. And when the time comes, and it will come, and it will, but everyone's on a journey. So let's get back on track, because I don't know what's going on there. Family court, right? And the journey through family court. Let's pull that back together. I don't know how I got there, but we got there. So I ended up there anyway. So didn't we? So family court. So most of us haven't even made it. We haven't even made it through the system. We haven't even made the application yet. At least we're not fully. We're not. That's the nature of it. That the path to family court. This is where it's rarely clear and it's clean, or it's not easy, and it's a culmination of being in a bad place, and your relationship's in a bad place. You wouldn't be, bad communication, bad circumstances. You're not on good terms with your ex, your kids, or often, or even yourself. Every foundation that life feels like is crumbling beneath you. And let's not sugarcoat it. Family court is conflict. It's incarnate. High conflict. It feeds off emotions and misunderstandings. In all my years, I've rarely seen anyone step into family court and still talking to the other side in a constructive way. Maybe once or twice, but every single time that's happened, a solicitor has got involved, and that slim chance has disappeared. Conversations stopped, progress stopped, solicitors made it worse. Why is that? Because solicitors don't resolve problems, they perpetuate them. They thrive on the flames of anger and resentment and hostility. But that's how the system is built. The second they step in, the humanity of the situation is lost, replaced by procedural games, billable hours, and legal jargon designed to confuse and intimidate. And again, here's the truth. Family court doesn't need solicitors. It needs counsellors. It needs mediators. It needs people who can listen and empathise and guide parents towards resolution, not war. What we have now are professionals who, consciously or not, throw petrol on an already raging fire. Counsellors would put toothpaste on it, soothing it, cooling it down, helping both sides see clearly. Resolution doesn't mean ignoring the bad. If something criminal has happened, then let the criminal courts deal with it. That's their domain. But if that family court isn't about criminal court, if something criminal isn't criminal, then it shouldn't be treated as though it is. Yet time and time and time and time again, I've seen this exact miscarriage of justice plays out in nearly every case. I could tell you hundreds of stories. Cases where no safeguarding concerns existed. Allegations were made, investigated, and found baseless. And still, men were treated as though they were guilty of heinous crimes, treated like paedophiles or predators and monsters. This isn't just justification, it's injustice. It's about a long-term damage that's done to fathers, their children, and even the very fabric of family. That's what it's supposed to mean. Before we even talk about resolutions, we need to acknowledge one basic truth. If there are no safeguarding concerns, that fact must be made clear. No muddy waters, no shadows of doubt lingering over people who have done nothing wrong. Without that clarity, there can be no justice, only destruction. Again, I'll be clear. This is written from a man's perspective. I make no apologies for that because it's the only perspective I know. If you're a woman reading this or watching me or listening to this and thinking I'm dismissing your experience, that's not the case. I can't write from a woman's perspective because I'm not a woman. But I will say this. If it's agonising for a father not to see his children, I can only imagine how much worse it must feel for a mother. Women carry their children. The bond with them is on a level that I would never truly understand. But I'm not here to compare pain or experiences. But I can appreciate that the hurt runs deep for everyone involved. None of this is easy for anyone. When a relationship breaks down, it doesn't end with handshakes and pats on the back. It's raw. It's emotional. Both sides are grieving the loss of something they thought they would never last forever. Anger, blame, resentment. It's all part of the process. Some of it's justified. Some of it isn't. The grief is messy. And that's why we need people in family court who can de-escalate it, who can guide and who can rebuild instead of having solicitors who profit from the escalation. Why do they do it? Because the system rewards them for it. Every letter they write, every email they send, every hour they spend pouring fuel onto the fire, it's billable. The more conscientious, the more drawn out the case becomes, the more they earn. It's a system that feeds on chaos and thrives on human misery. That's not justice. That's exploitation dressed up in a suit and tie. But there's a deeper issue here, one that goes beyond solicitors and courtrooms. It's about how we, as a society, view family breakdowns. Too often we see them as battles to be won rather than problems to be solved. We pit parents against each other as adversaries, forgetting that at the centre of all of this are children. Children who need stability, love, and connection from both parents. Imagine if we approached family breakdowns differently. Imagine if, instead of arming parents with solicitors, we gave them counsellors. Instead of handing them legal strategies, we gave them tools for communication and compromise. Instead of focusing on winning custody battles, we focused on healing families. The truth is, family court doesn't have to be war. It can be a place of reconciliation, understanding, and yes, even hope. But for that to happen, we need to rethink the entire system. We need to remove the incentives for conflict and replace them with incentives for cooperation. We need to prioritise children's needs and well-being over profits, compassion over procedures, and humanity over bureaucracy. Until that day comes, people will keep walking into family court like they're stepping into a battlefield, and many will leave with their lives in pieces. It doesn't have to be this way. It shouldn't be this way, but for now it is. So if you're reading this or still with me at this point in the video or on the audio, then you're about to enter family court. Know this. It will test you in every way, ways you never thought were possible. But also know that you're not alone. there is a way through this, and it's not easy, and it's not fair, and it's not kind, but it is possible. And sometimes that's all you need to keep going. That's what you need to keep going. Solicitors don't enter family court seeking resolution. They enter seeking opportunity, the opportunity to capitalize on conflict. They don't ask, how can we bring peace to the situation? Instead, their mindset is often, how can we deepen it, the rift? How can we make this 10 times worse so that these two will never find common ground? It's a system fueled by division, not reconciliation. This isn't so different from personal conflicts. We've all experienced personal conflicts, haven't we? Imagine falling out with a best mate. You know you should apologise. It's the right thing to do, but your pride holds you back. Meanwhile, your mate is feeling the same way. They miss you. They wish things were different, but they can't bring themselves to bridge the gap either. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and the silence grows longer. It lasts, and the longer it lasts, the harder it is to repair. Now imagine solicitors entering that scenario, not as mediators, but as saboteurs. They don't build bridges, they burn them. They ensure that the anger and the resentment fester, that the distance becomes insurmountable. And when you step into family court, all the unresolved pain of your relationship is laid bare, fueling a cycle of bitterness that feels impossible to escape.